All righty. So, welcome everybody to our live instructional webinar designed to support the Memory Book Online Yearbook program. Today, we will be focusing on the functions that relate to building activity or candid pages. Specifically, we will be reviewing page bleeds and margins, of our pages here in the program, the toolbars, design functions, and then going over some of the templates and that we have and how to do, take our templates and make them your own custom templates. And then we're going to wrap up with some of the theme artwork that goes along with some of our covers that you can apply to your pages. Um, so jumping right in, I am already in the page designer. So to get here, if you're anywhere else in the program, either library or that, to get to this spot, you just go under create and you'll click on new page designer. And that'll bring you into your layout pages. So the first thing that we're going to go over when you're looking at one of our pages is we're going to go over and explain what bleeds and margins are. So I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here on our page. So when looking at one of our pages, you see we've got an inner blue line here. So this is our inside page margin. So any of your content, photos, text, this blue margin area that has the grid lines, this is your safe area. This is where you're going to want to put or to keep your content within. Moving beyond this blue line, and this is still part of your page here, but moving out, this red line here is the estimated trim line. And we say estimated because during production, um, there could be a variance here of up to 1/8 of an inch. And that just comes to when it hits the production floor, factors come into play, such as, how big of a run this was when trimming, just how the actual machine was operating that day. A variable thrown this could be also whoever the operator is. So that's why I say this is an estimated line. So during production, it can wiggle just a little bit, but it's usually around about an eighth inch of a variance there. So that's what this red line is, or trim here. And then this outer gray line here, this is the bleed area. If I take a shape here and move it up into the corner here, we can kind of see that stuff moved, or elements or backgrounds that are in the bleed area. Now this shaded area, this is what's estimated to be trimmed off. And the reason why when you're having, or well, let me go back and explain what the bleed area is. Essentially what bleed means in terms of printing, bleed means full color that extends beyond the edge of the page. So why this is important in printing to having, if you, we understand, some pages, you'll have no background in, so they're going to have a white background and doesn't matter, um, on what gets trimmed or what's showing after trimmed. But with solid color backgrounds, if you have full color going out to the bleed here, this is just going to ensure that when your pages are being trimmed in production, um, that when it trims here, you have full color extending all the way off the page. You're not going to have anything kind of like if you nail short of this, you're not going to expect to have anything that when it gets trimmed to have like small edging where you can still see the paper and not have full color. So one thing about our program, it's not going to allow you to finely rest anything between the blue and the red. So if I let go here, it either wants to snap it up or it wants to bring it back down into the margins. Um, it's just so really the only thing that you want ever extending out to the very edge is, backgrounds. Now you can also make full bleed pages using your candids that are here in the program. So when it comes to, if you do like a full candid collage page where um, now you can use our templates to build pages, you can also just take your images and drag them, drop them on, size them to your liking, and just fill the page for a full collage page. When doing that, there's some things to look out for. One is just what pictures you're putting out to the edge. Um, So when we're looking for good photos or photos that'll work well, if you do bleed them out to the edge, um, the part of the photo that you want to stick out to the edge or that is going to be areas of the photo that has background space or space that you don't it doesn't matter if that's trimmed out, trimmed off or not. um, Now one thing what we do worry about is the placement. So on a photo like this, a good area we could put this photo, it could be up to the outside of the page, nothing really, all this is kind of dead space that's getting trimmed off. The important part of our photo, these, the faces of the kiddos here, they are well within the margins. So this is a good one to kind of stick, off to the side. It could go to the inside. There's more space here. It would even work well if you brought this down and brought it to the bottom margin. The focal point of the photo is within the margins. Little part of your little part here will get trimmed off. Now, where this photo will probably not work well at is at the very top. Um, so keeping in mind that eighth invariance, with this photo being cropped right here, what we worry about is when this goes to get trimmed, is how much more of the top of the student's head would be trimmed off. So it's just watching for things like that. Um, Really don't want to stick kiddos' heads to where they're trimmed off more, or you lose more than what you're wanting to have trimmed off. Because realize sometimes that that placement is like, no, that was the best place for that photo, and unfortunately it took a little more off. But just something to keep in mind when building those pages is to just, what kind of space do you have in your photo? Photos and just putting the dead space of a photo or the space that you don't mind, because this could be background. Some photos where it could be, if it's an outside shot, it could be like open sky or more grass. Those empty space areas what you're looking to push out to the bleed. But just wanted to go over that quick when you're working within your pages. Again, the blue line here, that's your inside page margins. That's where you're going to keep everything safe. And this red line is your estimated trim line. And this bleed area is what is estimated to be trimmed off. So one thing going through here, if you're brand new to our program, we're going to give you just kind of a rundown of the toolbars. So I'm going to actually kind of zoom in on my browser a little bit so I can bring these buttons and menus in here a little bit larger. So right across the top here, when we're looking on this gray top toolbar here, we do have our main menus, the File, Edit, View, Arrange. Under File, you're going to see things. This is where you can save, but you also have a quick save button here, which looks like an old 3.5, 3.5 floppy disk. Um, You can also, under File menu, this is where if you modify one of our templates, you can come and save it as your own template. You can even save a page as a practice page. If you're building on something and you didn't really want it in the book, but you want to kind of save it as a play around page or something to practice on, that way you can kind of fine tune, if you're working on specific formatting or something like that, you can kind of fine tune it in your practice pages in going on. This is also if you want to view a proof of your page, like a PDF proof, you can go here. This is also a shortcut that is on the top toolbar here, this little printer icon. Moving over to edit, this is where you're going to have your undo and redo. We also have those as quick actions on the top toolbar as well. And then we do have viewers cut, copy, paste, and delete that are under here too. For those, if you're used to working with keyboard shortcuts, the same does work here. Control X for cut, Control C for copy, Control V as in Victor for pasting. Now, if you're on the Mac side of things, just switch out Control to the Command button. So then Command X is cut, and so on. Also under the Edit menu, and we're going to get back to this, is the Change Background menu. This is we're going to come back to this later, but change background view is going to be very important while building your pages. This is where you're going to apply certain backgrounds or do any editing to the backgrounds on pages. Find and replace is in spelling. These are some few of the text options we have in here. We also have select menus. So if you're just wanting to select if you want to select everything on the page, so you can then just clear it all off at once. We have that. Or if you just want to, maybe you're doing specific formatting to just the images of a particular page, you can select just the images, text boxes, and etc. here. Going over to view, this is where you can hide your rulers, which are these up here, or hide page margins. We really don't suggest either one, just keep them showing. Grids and guides, hide grid lines. Your grid lines on a page are always showing, but you can either hide them using this menu. A quicker way to do that is in the bottom right of your page designer. You have a little 2-button toggle here. This bottom one here will let you toggle between having the grids on and off. So it's just a quick shortcut there. This is also where you can zoom in on the view menu. You can also zoom out, zoom in, and fit in window. Now your zooming options are also on the very top toolbar all the way here to the right. So you can easily get to those up here. Zoom out, bring that down, zoom in, or if you want to fit everything within the area. Also under view, this is also where you're going to switch your page view. If you need to switch it from facing pages, that's the default, or if you need to switch it to single page. Instances where you would, some people do like just working on one page at a time. That way they stay focused on that. Now, if you're working with a yearbook staff, where this comes important is if you happen to have, if you have one student assigned to a spread, that's fine. They can just leave it together, work on it, how they want to. But if you find yourself, if you're an advisor that has a yearbook team and you have both, let's say I have student A that's on the left and student B is working on the right, well, they both can't work on the same spread together at the same time. What would happen is it would kind of create a save error kind of instance where the first person who saved, their changes would be honored and saved to the page. The person that goes to save second, they would actually be asked to save their page as a template and then apply it later on. So just to avoid, while that's doable, to avoid that where you don't have to keep on finding, having one student try to find a template and then reapply it, just have both. If one student's assigned to the left, one student's assigned to the right, just have them both hit. Both of them will do. Oh yeah, I'll save that. There we go. And then both of them will do that, and that way that you just kind of avoid any save errors altogether. I'm going to switch that back to facing pages. So then we have a range, and under a range, here, let me, gonna go under the shapes or the art tab. I'll throw in a few shapes here. Just give them a few quick colors here. So under arrange, this is where you can lock and unlock elements. Also, if the quick, easy way to do that is in the top bar, there's a little lock icon, so we can lock that in place or unlock it. It's good for if you don't want certain things to be moved while you're working or trying to work on other things. Also under arrange, if I highlight these, all three, if we go into arrange, this is where I can group and ungroup them. These are also the options up here in the toolbar, group, ungroup. And this is also we're going to align horizontally or vertically. So horizontally, if we align that, aligning horizontally is good for columns, while aligning vertically is good for rows. And we can also flip and rotate, and we can also mirror stuff as well. I just wanted to give a quick rundown of that top and just some of your editing things that we have there. The arrangement of items on the page is also, you can come down to this little drop down menu to where we have the, the easy way to, if you want to align left, um, if I want to highlight these, I could go here and then align middle. So it's where your alignment, or if we wanted to, well, let me do that. No, they're all the same. They're not grouped. If this was grouped, then I could rotate that whole group. But just want to show some of the basics on that toolbar there. And bring this back, then we can start on some of the other neat stuff that we got here. All right, so that's that top run of just some of your basic editing and what's under those menus and what you're looking at there. So moving down, we're going to just go down the tabs down the side here. First one here is the Pages tab. So this is where you're, much like your page ladder, this is where you're going to access, your other pages that are here in the book. Just a quick way to access and jump over to them. Now, one thing before moving on to another page or to another place in the program, just be sure to save your changes, and that way you don't lose any content as you're going through. Under the Pages tab is the Designs tab. The Designs tab is where you're going to find all of our pre-made templates, and this is also where you're going to go to get your own. If you saved, if you modified one of ours and saved the template as your own, these will be under Custom, and you're going to find those in My Templates. Now, for today's exercise, or kind of what we're going to show you on building activity pages, a lot of templates that are good for candid activity pages are going to be found under the Page Surfer section that's here. So if you go under Designs, from the menu here, you can go under Page Surfer. Now under Page Surfer, there are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other categories here, just filled with different candid activity templates. So depending on what you're looking for, now if you're looking for something like a base candid template, just something easy to where you want to just toss photos in, or maybe you're just wanting a layout that has photo boxes and maybe a simple heading, then when you're under Page Surfer, the candids category has a lot of the most basic and the the candid photo templates that are there. Great for candid pages. Like I said, they're just some of the more simpler looking templates under Page Surfer. Let me just take one of these. So just drag and drop one on. Do I want to retain anything? No. So you see I dropped this on here. This one has a text box and it's got a few photo boxes that are here. And now if we go further down, you can see that there's some that are just photo boxes there. I guess they had a banner. Now one thing about our templates is nothing is set in stone. So I'm just selecting individual stuff to delete off of here, one by one. So nothing's set in stone. So you're able, if you want to, if you find a template that you like, here, let me bring this one over here. It's the other half to this one. So let's say a template like this, maybe you didn't want the bottom banner, so you could take that out. You're like, okay, well, I'm going to leave this as a heading. So I've got my heading here. Now maybe you're like, well, maybe I did want a text box here or something. Just maybe I have a little class story, or maybe I have a class quote or something like that. Or maybe I wanted to put that class quote right under the heading, so I can remove these boxes. Now, another neat thing here, if you want to add other stuff in, let's say that you want to add in either another photo box or a text box or a shape. Um, for shapes in that, or if you want to put an image frame in there, you're going to come to the art tab. In the art tab, you'll see this is where we have image frames, we have shapes. Under the art tab is also where you're going to find clip art and in some of our generic backgrounds that are in here. Now text is going to be under the text tab. Now when looking at your text that is here, your account will start with 5 main styles. Now a style is just how a particular text box starts as when you bring it onto a page. So I'm going to take one of these and I'll just take the body copy one and I'll put it over here. And let's say then I'll just adjust it for this area. And here's where I'm going to put my class quote, or maybe a message to the students, or maybe this is our class motto, or something like that. We'll put that box here. Now the style I brought over was body copy. Now that's just bringing a starting text box on the page. Now you could leave it at that. You could type in that and keep going. Or once it's on a page, you are able to, with the text box selected. Actually, one thing I'll point out here real quick is with nothing selected, you'll see that there's no toolbar that's right here. Now, as you start selecting page elements, so if I select a text box, you're going to see a toolbar pop up above the page. This is what we call the contextual toolbar. And its options change depending on what page element you have selected here on the page. So if I have text selected, this toolbar will have all the different text editing options. So since I toss this text box on, once it's on the page, I can change it to any other font that I've added into my font collection. I can change the size to it. I can change the color and some of its attributes as well. Now, if I have a photo box selected, there are some kind of few options here, but you'll get more options once a photo is in your layout. Now, to add a photo in, it's just a drag and drop over to a box. Now, when you're dragging and dropping images over to, photo boxes on templates, if the when you bring it over, if the photo box lights up green, that is letting you know that the image that you're placing is high enough resolution to fill that spot. So I just let go of the image and then it fills in the spot here. Let me try to find another one. Yeah, that one looks good. Here we go. So now you can see as I'm bringing this other photo on that all these boxes are turning red. Now this is to letting me know that this image it doesn't meet the resolution or size to fit that box. So if I try to drop it though, you see it'll still drop the image on the page, just drops it in its own new photo box over top of this one here. So as we can see with this photo, now I'm going to try to stretch it out. Now as you can see that this photo has reached its max size. So if you are working with certain images and you run into a small one, if you cannot enlarge it any fuller, that image is at its max size. Now what can you do with that image from here? You can either, on certain things, on smaller areas, you can take a spot out, you can try to fill it in a spot. So you could try to work it in, or maybe it would probably then at some point, maybe we need to move this to a collage page, or just a candids page that's just free built, or maybe look to see, and the last option is probably looking to see if you can get another photo. But sometimes photos, depending on what they are having to retake of something that's not possible, or it's just not possible getting the image again. And so that's kind of what you'll do. Small images, when best, try to see, try to work out, maybe it fits in at a better spot. Maybe I can rearrange a few stuff and sneak it in. But yeah, if you bring an image over, basically if it's green, it's good. If it goes red, you know that it's not meeting the size. Um, Now, when not meeting the size, sometimes where it can miss out is an image like this where it may have had the width, but this box just didn't, the image didn't have the height to fill this little box right here. Um, so there's things to look out for when you're placing photos there. I'm gonna take that photo back out. Um, Now let's say that maybe I didn't want this to be a big old square box. Let's go and change this. So with this selected, if I go under edit, another option is just shown up, and I'm going to change that to circle. So I can make it oval. Um, Maybe I wanted all of the boxes on the page to be oval or circle. Um, Something like that. I'm going to undo that one. I just like that top and like that. That's kind of neat. Let's say on something like this, let's say that after making modifications, maybe you've done some formatting, and we're still going to come to that. But if you have added in or maybe adjusted a template the way you want it and say, you know what, I like what I've done here. I want to continue this to another set of pages or use this on other pages. All you have to do here to save, what you've changed, to save it as your own, just go to File and click on Save as Template. You'll then get a little prompt here to add in a name to your template. And I'm just going to name it with today's date. Then you're given a choice to select, do you want just the left page? Do you want the right, both pages? In this case, I'm just going to do left page because that's the one I wanted here. And I'm going to hit save. And now this template, if we go back to our designs tab, if we then from the drop down, we're going to go under custom and we're going to look in my templates. And there's going to be our template page our template we just made. So if we go on to another set of pages, like the next page over, then we can drop our template and just kind of use it throughout. All right, so we have gone over, just trying to think where we're at. So Lee's Martins, we've gone over toolbars and stuff. Um, where to find the templates um, in that. Let's see. Well, let's bring a template back on here and just kind of start filling that in with some stuff. So, go to candids. I guess I could just find anyone that I want here. So you could start with a template like this. Again, bringing over some images here. I'm just going to fill these in here. So a lot of this is just, if you've got your photos collected and, if you're working on certain things, upcoming here, next kind of, fall festivals, we have Halloween around the corner. So a lot of good photos are going to be coming in here shortly for a lot of you. So when building pages, especially candid activity pages, um, it's good to set up folders in your library for those events. But just having that set up and then having the photos, and then once you have the photos, drop on a layout, this page, and the more photos you have for something, the better. Um, Actually, I did not want anything in this top spot. So on something like that, I was going to go in under clip art. So if we go under clip art, um, let's see, was there some stuff under miscellaneous? I thought I was looking for certain things, but under clip art, I was under under archive. Oops. Remember, there was some grade headings here in case you didn't want to use certain things. There's a lot of different headings for stuff. I know they're kind of hard to see on this. Just gonna toss one on here. So I got, okay, so we got a heading. We could do a little heading, something like that. I could have kept a photo box here. Um, so a lot of the clip art, when you're accessing it, so if we go under clip art, there is just tons and tons here to choose from. You know, under by type, by theme, by cover, by category, just a lot here. Now, if you're looking for stuff that goes along with, let's say you chose one of our covers, if you're looking for some of the theme art that goes along with it, um, a lot of that, if you're under clip art, and if you're just looking for the little clip art pieces, um, come under the art tab, come under clip art, and then look under by cover. Now, when you go under here, this is, you're going to have everything that's in here. Um, you'll see the backgrounds for that cover. But the backgrounds, you'll actually apply these a different way, and I'm going to show you that here in just a second. But for the clip art pieces, so there's on diary here, it's got a, you know, maybe I could take that out, and maybe I wanted to use a piece of scrap paper and tape as where I put my heading here. So I can grab a text box. I can put a headline there, and let's go back to art. I'll just put a little tape. Oop, I'm going to drop that, and then I'll bring it over here. So there's different little things we can do. Let's see, fill that in here with a photo. Okay, so I got some photos into a layout. I got a couple pieces of clip art. Now let's say, how do I add a background to this page? So if you're looking for, you know, if you're just doing a book, you're doing some generic backgrounds. Let's just say you want to see what just some of the generic ones we have in the program. Under the art tab, go under art, go under background, and you'll see just this is a folder that has just tons and tons of different backgrounds, a lot within the different colors, which is kind of, we do see like a lot of between grade levels. Let's say that some schools will do like all of this grade level is blue, all of second grade is green, and so on. So plenty of colors here to kind of help with if you are do something kind of similar to that or do something in those lines. Any of the backgrounds that are under here, like any other thing to apply them, when you find something you like, you're just going to drag and drop it over to the page. So backgrounds that are in the backgrounds folder under the art tab, these are the only ones that will automatically apply to fill the whole page. And just to show you, like if we go to clip art, and if I go back to a background under diary, if I bring that on, they just come on short. But you don't want to stretch these out to fill them out. There's actually a different way that we're going to apply the theme backgrounds that are here. So if you're wanting to make adjustments to your background, or let's say that you want to add a theme background, or maybe you just want to do a solid color background, here's where we're going to come back kind of full circle now and kind of come under that change background menu. So we'll go to edit, change background, and we get a little background menu here that we can keep up. Usually I keep this up while I'm kind of working on some pages, and I just kind of move it off to the side here. Left page, right page. So I'm just going to keep my left page, but if you did want to make just use a solid color for background, go under background color. You just pick any color that you find here in the palette. Now, if I go back to art, go in the backgrounds. Here it is. Here's one. We also have backgrounds that are pretty busy, that have a lot going on certain pages where either it's a candid or class page or something like that. One thing you can do with your backgrounds is you can tint them or lighten them a little bit. And we kind of suggest this on some of the busy backgrounds just because, you know, when they're full color, they're really robust and there's a lot going on here. And it kind of pulls focus away from, you know, what you're trying to see here on the page. So if we take certain backgrounds and we lighten those out just a little bit, we'll see it kind of that's more muted and it brings more focus to the foreground here so you can see the pictures that are here. We can flip and rotate our backgrounds. Like I said, we can tint them, and if you don't want it, you can remove it altogether. Now, if you're looking for one of the theme backgrounds, like if you went with any one of our covers, here's where we're going to use this menu now. Instead of pulling them over from, nope, I want this tab. Instead of pulling the backgrounds from the art tab, use the change background menu, and you're going to hit choose image. This menu or this little window will pop up and click the drop down. You're still going to go under clip art, where that is, and you're going to find that still that by cover category that's here. And I'm just going to go down to diary, just because that's a pretty popular cover art. So I'm going to click on diary, and I'm going to see all the backgrounds for that. So I choose the choose the color I want. I'll just select it, and I'll hit select, and here we have that applied to the page. But that's how change background menu, really handy. Like I said, it's good for, you know, if you need to flip rotate, you need to lighten lighten the background. That way you have, you know, pulse focus back to the foreground. It's really good for that. Now, some other things you can do. So we've got, you know, hitting on the page, we've got our photos. What's some other things that we do? Some kind of light formatting that you can do to your pictures and that. So real quick, I'm going to just select one of my photos. Actually, I'm just going to select all the photos here. I could do that edit and select images, but that's also going to capture my clip art as well. So if I just want certain images here, I'm going to select an image and I'm going to hold my shift key to highlight multiples. Now from here, I can go to format and effects. You know, if I wanted to round the corner on those images, I could round the corners on just a little bit. Now some other since we have the images selected, oh, I need to select them again. Another thing I can do, just to the left of format and effects, you'll see these three drop downs here. This first one is stroke size. So what stroke is, if you want to put a simple border around your images, you can apply a stroke here. The higher the point number, the thicker that stroke will be. Go 2 here. Now the default color on the stroke is black, but that's what that first little drop down color is here. And I'm going to make those. Let's see what might look good here. A little better. I'll just do white for this one here. So we did that. So we can apply formatting. You know, we can to our photos. We can do stroke. Now some other things here. Actually, I might remove the background here just to show it. I'm going to select these images again. You can also apply drop shadow. So if we go back under format and effects, just go go back to Format and Effects, click this drop down, and then if we click Drop Shadow and Glow, this is where we can apply that. So I'm just going to do black here. So drop shadow, what drop shadow and drop shadow and glow will do is kind of make it look like there's some depth on the page, make it look like the images are raising up just a little bit. Um, there's different, you can control the distance on that, so you can make a real small drop shadow. You can change the degree on where the lighting is coming from. So where do you want the shadow coming from? Um, the opacity is, do you want really strong drop shadow, or do you want it to kind of fade out and be there? What's the blur? Do you want to blur that out, distance it? So just some other things that we have there. I'll put the background on. But yeah, that's pretty much as far as when you're working on a page. Definitely check out a lot of the different templates that are under the Designs tab. Like I said, I just built a quick activity page using one of the um, simpler templates that's under Candids. But some of the other things, if you want to go through here, there are tons and tons of really neat looking templates in here um, that should liven up any kind of book here. Some and you don't, and it can be used for other purposes. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to build a candid page like this. You could make something kind of awesome like this. This could be used for groups. A whole bunch of different stuff in here. So definitely, when getting ready to do your candid activity pages, I definitely would encourage you and students, staff, if you have a committee, come through here, come check stuff out before you set anything kind of solid in stone. Just check out what templates we have. If a template of ours plays close to an idea that you have, definitely, feel free. If you want to make modifications, make it uniquely yours, go for it. Just there's tons of ways to take what we have and make things more creative and more unique. Um, just to show some of the other things that are in here, if you were looking for like group shots, there's definitely stuff for that. So this was just clubs and organizations. There's definitely a lot of stuff that's in gallery, sports, a lot of sporting templates that we have in here. I'm going to save this. A lot of sporting templates that we have in here. All different stuff, and even kind of scores. If you keep track of that, you can put that in the book. Lots and lots of different stuff here. So one of the last things, and it's kind of neat that I just actually didn't realize I worked up to that point, but it was, we went over templates, backgrounds, went over some formatting on what you can do here. The last kind of thing I was going to touch on, just in the event that let's say that something gets lost or anything like that. Just while you're working on your pages, we encourage you to save and save often. And that's because the program keeps track of each and every saved change for each page. The advisor, if you're logged in as advisor, you actually have this one extra tab at the bottom. It's the history tab. And this is where you can go to see your saved changes. So like before today, it was just, that was a little bit ago. Here are some older versions of the page that I had. But today I have my most recent changes. So if anything ever gets lost, or maybe you just want to revert the page. Let's say you start working on a page and you're like, you got all the basics in, but then you start playing with formatting and you just didn't like where your formatting went. Like you didn't like stroke you put on photos, you didn't like drop shadow, you didn't like the background you chose. Maybe you just want to revert it back to an earlier time when just before you did. So as long as you're making those save changes, you'd be able to go back to history and just drag and drop that save point back onto the page to reapply it. But just wanted to, while you're building these pages, um, just make sure while you're doing it, save often. Um, don't be afraid to look at all, go under these. Don't be afraid to click on anything. Um, if you ever need to revert back to, just maybe something that you did a little while ago or an hour ago, there's always the history tab to where you can put those changes back. So what we can do now, so we got a little bit of time left here while we're doing this. So if I kind of covered everything on just what we have here, but if anyone has questions on just what we've done today or what else you might be able to do in the page designer, I've got 10 or so minutes. We can open this up for some Q&A. Um, if you feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question, or if you'd rather put that question in the GoToMeeting chat controls that are there, either way, whichever way is more comfortable for you. But yeah, if anyone has any questions, we got the next kind of few minutes or so, 10 minutes or so, we can stick around and see what we got. Okay. Okay. Well, hopefully, we covered a lot of what we needed to go over today, or whatever, whatever I presented today gets you a good start. But I'm not seeing it. Oh, yeah. Oh, I thought I had a question, but no. Thank you. Glad you found it very helpful there. So it's not looking like I'm getting many questions in. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. So thank you everybody for joining me this afternoon. And these demonstrations of the functions related to the creation of activity pages may help when it comes time to build your yearbook. Using the templates already in the program and building your own templates should save you time and give your book continuity. So actually this is the last of this series. For the fall, we're gonna open this up and do another working with portraits and building activity pages in December. But after that, we will do the final stages webinar in the spring. So for now, we're going to wrap on building activity pages. If anyone has any questions, please just you give us a call at 1-877-302-3140, or send us an email anytime at memorybooktechsupport@jostens.com. So thank you, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. And if anything comes up, let us know. All right. Have a great one. Thank you, everybody.